So you want an Italian passport through descent. Before you do another thing, listen up. The Italian citizenship law was not overturned. A court in Palermo didn't crack it open. The Constitutional Court just upheld the recent changes. If you've been reading headlines telling you otherwise, you've been reading fake news. And that confusion is about to cost people their filing window. There are two myths I need to bust in the next few minutes, and then I'm going to tell you exactly what is still on the table. 2 June court dates and a Supreme Court ruling that could possibly still rewrite pieces of this law. Stay through till the end. Now, myth number 1. The courts have overturned the Tajani Decree. They did not. A quick catch-up if you're new here. The Tajani Decree is the emergency measure Italy passed in March of 2025 that cut citizenship by descent to 2 generations and locked out millions of applicants worldwide overnight. Parliament made it permanent as Law 74 of 2025. Now, Italy has 2 top courts that matter for this fight. The Constitutional Court, which rules on whether laws violate the Italian Constitution, and the Cassazione, which rules only on how laws should be interpreted. Both are looking at this. On March 12th of this year, 2026, the Constitutional Court ruled on the Turin challenge. This was the big challenge, the one that I covered in my last video. The court rejected it as partly unfounded and partly inadmissible. Those are the exact words, which mean Law 74 of 2025 stands. The 2-generation cap stands. The exclusive citizenship trap stands. The filing cutoff of March 27th, 2025 stands. If your ancestor is a great-grandparent and you didn't file before that cutoff, you are still blocked. Nothing about the March 12th ruling changes that. Round 1 of the legal battle that I told you was coming has gone to the government. Now, myth number 2, that the Palermo ruling is a loophole. It is not. On February 13th of 2026, a court in Palermo ruled in favor of a group of Italian-Argentinian applicants. Every YouTube thumbnail in the last 2 months is using this to claim that the decree is crumbling. It is not crumbling, not even close. Here's what the Palermo ruling actually did. Those specific applicants had been trying for years to book a consulate appointment before the decree hit. They had proof of this. Multiple booking attempts through the Prenot at Me, that's Italy's online consular appointment system, and they also had a legal document called a formal Diffida. It's a legal notice telling an agency that it is failing in its duty, which was sent to the consulate before March 28th of 2025. The court agreed. You tried to file under the old rules. You were locked out by a consulate backlog that was not your fault, so you will get treated under the old rules in your current application. That's a fairness ruling for a specific fact pattern. If you do not have a documented paper trail of pre-March 27, 2025 attempts, Palermo's ruling does absolutely nothing for you. Zero. It's not a loophole. It's not a template. It's a standalone case. And that's where Italian citizenship law breaks the American brain. It doesn't change the way we think that laws change. When Italy, for example, used to block citizenship from passing through the maternal line pre-1948, the descendants did not wake up one day to a new rule. They sued. They had to sue, one case at a time, for decades. Individual women's descendants started winning those cases in the Italian courts in the 1980s. By the 2000s, hundreds of cases were grinding their way through the system. It took until 2009, after 20 years of individual litigation, for the Cassazione to finally rule in Judgment 4466 that gender-based citizenship discrimination pre-1948 was unconstitutional. And even then, the statute itself was never rewritten. It was never struck. The law on the books still stands and still says what it said originally. The courts just kept ruling against it until the administrative system gave up the fighting. Tens of thousands of people eventually got their Italian citizenship through female ancestors this way, but every single one of them had to file their own lawsuit. Italy doesn't fix unjust citizenship laws by passing new ones. It fixes them by losing the same argument in court 10,000 times in a row until the bureaucracy stops showing up. That's the pattern that you're seeing right now. Palermo is that pattern. The Cassazione is that pattern. Court wins open doors for the plaintiff. They do not rewrite the law for everyone else. Period. It's always 1-to-1. Now, what is still yet to be decided regarding these recent changes? There are 3 things, and these matter. On June 9th of this year, 2026, the Constitutional Court hears 3 more challenges to Law 74, 2025, including the Mantua referral that I covered in our last video. Mantua's angle is different from Turin's. Turin argues that general retroactivity was unconstitutional, but they lost. Now, Mantua is arguing that Article 22 of the Italian Constitution, which prohibits depriving anyone of citizenship for political reasons. This is a narrower argument. It's more specific. And that's what actually works in this legal system that the Italians have. You don't want to bet the farm on it, but it is still available. Now, second, the Cassazione, Italy's Supreme Court, heard the minor issue case on April 14th. The court's own advisor has argued on behalf of the plaintiffs. This is whether or not the decisions that parents make impact their minor children before they are of age to make their own decisions regarding their citizenship by descent. Now, this is a signal from the courts, but it's not a verdict. The ruling could land any week, but it's not final yet. And then third, the full written reasoning from the March 12th Constitutional Court ruling is still pending. When that drops, we'll know exactly what argument avenues are still open. None of this is predicted to strike down Law 74 of 2025. And any of it could create new but narrow paths for specific fact patterns for specific people. There aren't going to be any blanket changes as a result of this because that's just not how the Italian system works. So for some, the fight does still continue, exactly like I said it would last year. Don't mistake, though, that the fight continuing means that the law is gone. So watch the full original video breakdown after this one. The link will be at the end. Don't skip it. It has important context to help you understand what options are still available. So what do you actually do? Two things. First, follow this channel. This situation is changing every few weeks, and we will get you accurate information when something real happens. The thumbnail factory people, not so much. Second, the passport that I showed you at the start of this video, I have business in Italy and the European Union. The legal team that I send our consultation clients to is the same one that I use myself. When your situation is specific, and right now, every situation in this case is specific, you need the proper referral, not a Google stab in the dark. Book a strategy call. The link for that is in the description. And if descent is off the table for you right now because of these changes, it's not the only path to living in Italy or even becoming an Italian citizen eventually. I've got a full video on Italian residency for remote workers. The card, it's right here. It's a bit of a longer road than citizenship by descent, but it's still open, it's still available to most people, and it does lead to citizenship at the end as long as you comply with the requirements. So whatever path you are on, start it today, not after June 9th, not after the Cassazione rules. Today, every single program globally is getting harder, not easier. The best time to take action was 2 years ago. The second best time is right now. Remember, the right information makes it all possible. I'm Brad with Evolution Expats, and I'll see you in our next video.